Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. And starting off, we have this very sharp push down. You can see that there's two legs in that, even though on a big picture, it is one leg on a bigger picture there. And so we get this push up here, and then this forms our overnight high. When we push up here, it starts getting choppy, and I don't think there's a good way to get in on this second leg up here. Notice how there's, within these, you can see here that this is one leg up here, but on a smaller picture, there are clearly two legs there. And so when we push up right here, and you start to push out of this chop, because it clearly got choppy right here, I'll redraw this here, and we're pushing out of it. That doesn't mean you want to immediately buy it. One, you don't want to just buy a breakout. Breakouts will often fail. They'll push out a little bit and fade right back in. It's very common for that to happen. But also, another reason you wouldn't want to do this is because, you have your push up here. That's the first leg up. And then technically this second leg right here would start from this swing because that's the low swing after the push up. But it doesn't take off till here. And, oftentimes when it has delay like that before taking off, you can just move the arrow over for the visual. And so we have our second leg up right here. Now, at this point that a lot of people would want to enter on because they're looking at a breakout, your stop would still have to go below this bar and your entry would be way past that measured move. So you don't want to buy a breakout, and you especially don't want to buy a breakout mixing it with pushing your target past the measured move. That measured move held almost perfectly there. Went one tick above it before turning down very sharply there. So it's very important to understand measured move levels, even if they're kind of choppy and a little bit less noticeable like this right here. It clearly is one leg again on a slightly bigger picture. And so anyway, I'm gonna delete those and put back this bigger one. And so yeah, really what you have here is you have downtrend, or whoops, I didn't mean to grab that there. You have downtrend, break, and then first attempt at a new low. So this is the first attempt lower. It's not, unfortunately, there's no clear entry here. Even though we were just talking about those two legs up there, those were on a smaller picture. And on a smaller picture, you have two legs down. On a bigger picture, it turns into one leg. And what that means is that on that smaller picture with those two legs up here, that was price attempting to reverse from this downtrend playing out with a break and a new low. So I understand this might be complex if you've never looked at the big picture before, but you have to learn how to spot it in real time. You clearly have those two legs down, and then after the two legs down, price attempts to reverse with those two legs up. But on a big picture, those two legs down are just one leg, and then those two legs up are the break. Just a one-legged, or I didn't mean to move it there, just a one-legged break from that downtrend before the first attempt at a new low. So that's price action getting bigger picture and, being able to notice it in real time. You got to be able to spot that stuff. And so anyway, we push on up here. And so now at this point, it's clear that we're getting a two-legged break. We had that first attempt lower, and now we're pushing past this high right here. And we have this, you can see here, we get that second attempt lower here. Downtrend, break, first attempt lower. We clearly get some attempt right here, but it's very choppy. It's almost completely sideways the whole time. And it ends up quickly pushing up and pushing past that measured move here. And so at this point, after you reach that measured move, even though you had that attempt right there, since the leg continued, you can still look for that second attempt on a bigger picture. Or what I should say is, since you have the two-legged break, you can look for the start of that second major leg. And so it does go past that measured move here, but it just so happens that at this measured move, which is a pretty measured move here, especially being the two-legged break from this downtrend, it went a little past it here, but it just so happens that is right where it started, these two legs down, nearly reaching that measured move and then reversing from there. So market geometry is very real. Now, let's get into this. We push through it here, it gets a little bit choppy, we push on up, and then we have a sudden sharp push down, retesting these range highs right here. Now, obviously this right here is just a first entry, very bearish move down, just crushed through the EMA. You definitely do not want to go long right after that. Even when you close above right here, it's still just a first entry, so you don't want to take that long. But we push on lower here. Now you can see we have a couple attempts down. It really isn't a very good, clean two-legged move. Now you have to consider, I'm expecting a possibility of a second major leg down at this point, and we just met this measured move right here, which means I'm not going to want to go long off of a choppy subpar setup. It's not even a good looking two-legged move. It has one sharp and then one kind of shallow choppy one. So even when we closed above here, I did not want to go long. It might look good retesting this level right here and then pushing above, but you have to look at the bigger picture. This push down has a two-legged break, and we can expect a second big picture leg down. So it is just unfortunately too risky to take that. And so we push up. Notice how we have a two-legged correction between these two legs here. I'm going to remove this bigger one just to unclutter for a sec. And so between these two legs here, the measured move, you have a two-legged move up. And it's clearly holding right onto this level right here. And unfortunately, I did not like anything. There was this right here, first entry short, second entry short, but there was too many things whoops, I didn't grab that trend line there. There was this right here blocking it. Excuse me, since it held up right here, and it didn't have a complete two-legged move, that was another consideration, combining it being blocked with the trend. Excuse me, I need to get some water, my throat is parched. Combining it being blocked by the trend line with this two-legged move not being complete it's not ideal. What I would like to see is after we push down right here, another clear push up and then a close out of the trend line. That way you would have another attempt at that measured move and a close out of the trend line, and then we could have easily gotten a short in this area right here. But I understand if you were looking for a short in that area, you're definitely looking in the right place, but it just was barely not good enough here. It was also kind of getting a little bit sideways there anyway. So anyway, it does end up pushing down here. We retest that this high again, this range high, before bouncing, and we have, starting from here, another two-legged move. And on this two-legged move, we can tell that on a bigger picture, it was actually making the two attempts down to this measured move right here. And so we push on lower here, we fade back in a little bit, but notice this trend line working up. We pushed through it a little bit, but it did end up holding very clearly, and also it was very strong. Even though it had a strong push out, it had a very strong reaction back to the bullish side, pushing right above the EMA. And after we pushed lower here and then triggered above this bar, this green bar here, that's when I liked entering. Now, by the way, I just want to show there was a trend line blocking. So it closed out of this trend line at first, but then very quickly it pushed back below, and then it did still hold under. But considering the big picture, after this measured move was met, which once again, it only turned after this measured move was met, so which means that this two-legged move down right here are the two big picture attempts for this downtrend. So downtrend, two-legged break, and then two attempts at a new low off of this trend line right here. So I didn't mind that it still stayed within this little green trend line right there, this STT, which it's really not STT, it is pretty big. But when you look at big picture for so long, eventually what you consider STT gets bigger as well. And so anyway, I liked it with the target underneath this high right here. In this case here, I wouldn't have even wanted to push it one tick through. And the reason I wouldn't have wanted to do that is because it was so slow at this point. This trade took quite a while. It was really forming these bars quite slow here. And so, I was wanting to get out one tick before that high. It was clearly a good area to look for a long, but you cannot be certain about these highs right here. In this case, it does end up pushing, nice bit above, but, you can't just bet on that happening. So anyway, now at this point, we could get a couple legs back to that key entry point. Looks like it is still finding some pretty clear resistance at this level right here, so we'll see what happens. That's going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.